Hello, hello. So good to have you here. And this is a very important and very excited part of this program. So, the mind somatic mapping process. So, in this process, we're really looking at integrating the mind and the body, the soma, into one cohesive whole. And for you to create more awareness around these two key areas, the mind and the body, and how they're constantly communicating and interacting with one another, but not for me to tell you that, but for you to discover that for yourself. And that's what this process is really for. And this process, together with the sitting practice that Dan will be explaining, is going to be those two practices are going to be your two anchor points across the whole coaching process. Yeah, the whole coaching journey, if you will. So those are going to be your rocks. You're going to come back to them every morning, every day, every week. And those are going to be your fundamental pieces that you constantly return back to as your fundamental rocks of any practice. Anything else that we will be explaining, which we will come across, which is going to be super exciting as well, is going to be added and layered on top of this. Yeah. So these are really your fundamental pieces that you want to stick with. And it's going to require a bit of self-application, self-responsibility, curiosity. Yeah, what's here? What can you discover here in this process? Yeah, so the mind somatic mapping process, there's 5 steps involved. As you can see, they're laid out here in front of you. And I'm gonna walk you through the 5 steps. So grab a pen or a journal. By the way, it would be really good for you to have a journal specifically dedicated to this process. So you have a journal specifically dedicated to the coaching process and therefore also to this specific journaling process. And in the journal, make sure that you don't have any other notes or shopping list or other things in there as well, and just have it dedicated to this process. It makes it clean, it makes it simple, and it makes it easy. Yeah. So I'm going to walk you through the steps, and you can journal with me as we go. So 1, you're going to choose every day. So you're going to do this process. Sorry, we're just going to wind back for a bit. You're going to do this process every day. So you're going to come back to this every morning or every evening. It's going to be up to you what to choose. And choose a moment where you're doing your sitting practice as well. So whether it's in the morning or the evening, I recommend the morning. That really works for me. But some people have a full morning and rather do it in the evening. The reason I say do it in the morning and the reason it really works for me is because I feel like I'm setting myself up for the day. And that in and of itself, together with the sitting practice, makes me feel like I'm not being sort of lived by life, but I'm living life and I'm making conscious choices and decisions. And just that first moment in the day, just for me, allows me to show up better in life. Yeah. So take this process every morning, every evening. I would recommend every morning, and start journaling. So you have your journal and you write down situation 1. So 1 situation. What is the situation? Now, if you do it in the morning, you can go back to something that happened in the day before. Or if you do it in the evening, you can go back to something that happened during that day. Yeah. So what is the situation? You're going to pick one situation that has happened recently or the day before that was of interest. There was a situation that happened and there was maybe an emotional trigger or a response that in the body. So maybe a colleague was sharing something with another colleague. Maybe it was a complaint or some sort of discussion about something and it made you feel a particular way in the body. Maybe you had a presentation at work and made you feel a particular way, or thought you were thinking something about a particular way. Maybe you noticed other little processes in your day-to-day life, maybe an interaction with your partner or a loved one, maybe the kids, maybe travel plans, and how that makes you, how things influence. Yeah. So choose, you can choose any situation. A situation is basically anything that happens externally, so outside of you. Yeah. So it could also be ordering a coffee at the coffee shop. Yeah. So anything that happens outside of you, and just describe very clearly and cleanly the external situation. So objectively, what happened? I just mentioned a few examples already. It could be ordering a coffee, two people talking to one another, two colleagues talking to one another. Even the word complaining, that's already more of a subjective association about that. Complaining to someone might not be complaining to someone else. So, or someone got angry, or someone got upset, or the kids got overwhelmed. Well, what makes you say that? What did you objectively observe in their behavior or in their language? So what did they either say or do that had that happen? Or a situation can be a car was driving by, almost got hit by the car, for example. Yeah. It's objective. So it's objective. There's no feelings, no thoughts involved. It's out there, objectivity. Yeah. The second point is feeling. How did that make me feel? So in this section, you're going to write down the objectivity of the situation. Now we go inward. So we go from external to internal. How did that make you feel? Make me feel? Could be sad, happy, mad, glad, excited, joyful, anxious, overwhelmed, depressed. Those are all labels. Yeah, but we're gonna work with these labels because you get to know yourself better. A label is not actually feeling. A label is more of a thinking. Sad. Okay. Well, how do you know that made you feel sad? How do you know to call that sad? That feeling. The feeling is an energy in the body, an energy in motion. So that's where we come back to point B there. Where in my body did I feel that? And what was the sensation in that part of my body? So let's say you go with sad or anxious or stressed. Let's go with stressed. Let's say you go with stressed. Okay, well, where did I feel that in my body? I feel my chest going, my chest contracting, my heart going up, my breathing was shorter, got a bit warm and sweaty, for example. Yeah, okay. Well, those are the signatures of the body actually signaling how did it actually feel in the body. And then what is the sensation? It could be tingling, could be warm, could be cold, could be expansive, could be contracted, could be upwards, could be downwards, could be inwards, could be outwards. Yeah. So now you're really more of a sensory, you're giving more of a sensory descriptor. Yeah, so you've got point A and B there. And then we go from there, we go to action taking. Point 3. What action was taken in that moment? And it's important to know this can either be a physical action or mental action or both. Okay, so there was stress in the body. That meant the heartbeat went up. There was a tightening in the chest. There was sweating. What action was taken? The mental action, for example, was this feels shit. The physical action was I'm gonna have a beer, for example. Or the mental action was, oh, this feels uncomfortable. And the physical action was I'm gonna go for a jog. Or the mental action was, oh, this feels really uncomfortable. And physically, there's nothing actually that you're changing. So, for example, you could be sitting behind a laptop and all these feelings come up because an email just pops up from a colleague or whatever. And there's no actual physical action being taken outside of just what's already happened. Yeah, so you're not shifting your physical action, but there's always a mental action happening. So that one is definitely a given. Yeah, so we're just looking at what are the patterns? How are you responding to situations? Then point 4 is feeling. After taking that action, how do I now feel? So this is actually the same as point 2. So after taking that action, how do I now feel? After I took the action of drinking a beer, or I took the action of going for a jog, or I took the action of staying where I am, how do I now feel? And then the same question, where in my body do I feel that? And what was the sensation in this part of my body? Yeah, so that's the same as point 2. Light, heavy, open, expansive, warm, cold, tingling, still. Yeah, those are descriptors of sensations. And then we're going to move to point 5. And this is the point 5 is actually the same as point 1 again. So what is the situation? We're going to go from internal again, from point 2, 3, and 4 are internal. We're going to external again. So what is the situation? Did the situation change? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. What happened externally? Yeah. So the question really is here for you. What are we doing with this process? What's the point? You could ask. So what? So what that we're doing this? Yeah. Why are we doing this? You see, we're going from external, 1 and 5, 1 is external, 5 is external, and internal, 2, 3, 4. So we are mapping. How are you responding? How is the mind and the soma responding to external situations? And really, what's really good for you to know here is that there's nothing that needs to change about any of it. It's perfect as it is. You don't need to change or shift at this stage. We're simply collecting data on your system. How are you responding to your environment? How are you responding to thoughts, feelings, and what kind of actions, either physical or mental, are you taking in response to certain internal feelings and thoughts? Yeah, so we're collecting data. How are you operating? How is your system operating in the world? And you can ask, why is that important? Well, if you have clarity around how your physical, emotional, mental system is operating to the environment, what could that provide you with, right? What if you've got more clarity around these elements, what could that provide you with in relationships with other people, with the people around you in work, colleagues, children, partners? With this clarity, how would you maybe lead differently in your organization? You can really start to take responsibility of the pieces that you are responsible for. How are you able to respond to the situation? And where can you see patterns? So as you start to do this every day, every morning, every week, you can start to see patterns. Yeah, and some people might say at some point, and I've had this with many clients, that they come back and they say, I don't have anything to journal about. Well, that's simply not true. We're always in an environment, and we're always in one way or another responding to that. Whether we think it's significant or not is a different story, but this is always already happening. This process is already happening. We're just mapping it and creating data for how it's happening for you specifically. And this is really exciting, particularly if we link it to the NLP communications model, which would be another exciting video for you to watch. So take note, enjoy, explore, and pop any questions if you have any. Thank you.